Gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Pucknology After Dark, with the Sharks losing a 5-1 score at the hands of the Pittsburgh Penguins. First off, I'd like to give a shout out to the listeners who commented and liked our post on Reddit. It helps a lot and helps grow this thing out even more. I'd also like to say happy welcome to new fans and thank our ever loyal viewers who are sticking with us tried and true. If you want to be part of the show, please go ahead and use the hashtag Pucknology After Dark and tweet at any one of us here using these Twitter handles. So you can also use the chat as well, and we'll go straight to Eric, who is live at the tank, or actually walking back.
Yeah,
Eric?
screw this crap. Oh my god, that was awful. Awful. I mean, what part of awful? I don't know. Perfect timing as an airplane's going underneath. No hustle. Passing was awful. We try to pass too much. Shouldn't shoot too much. We have to, reverse what Bakes said as one of his game ideas from a couple of games ago. Shoot, ask questions later. No, pass versus ask questions later was what they did tonight. Just absolute crap. Absolute crap by the team. Questionable officiating. Just absolute craptacular. Gentry, you want to add anything to that?
They stink.
All right, and Eric Landy, back to you.
All right, well, thank you for
That's
that.
the clean version.
Thank you for that riveting live report. AJ, first off, what were your first thoughts and impressions about the game?
It's reminiscent of the Chicago game. They came out not looking their best, and they got beat by a better team. Pittsburgh learned from the last game, and they brought it this time, and the Sharks looked disinterested from the start, and I don't know if those two fluky goals, the bank shot off Jones's back, and then the bank shot off his skate, leg, whatever you want to call, I mean, it can be tough to keep your morale up when you're letting in fluke goals and lucky goals are bouncing in, but that's going to happen from time to time. You got to be able to bounce back, and this team didn't. And you see one time where they bounce back and they're able to find some resolve and bring it. Who was it? Was it against Columbus or something where they were down like 3 goals and came back to win? So, and granted that's Columbus, but it's a case of, once again, they're at home, and for some reason they can't find the energy to get up for a game. I guess I don't know what it is, but I mean, kudos to Pittsburgh. They were a better team, and they took advantage, and they had their legs going early, and the Sharks didn't.
Well, you know what? It's funny because I think this was a tale of two games for me, at least. The very beginning, the Sharks were outchancing them, outclassing them. In that whole first period, I thought the Sharks were just running all over Pittsburgh. It was a very fluky kind of goal that they got. You can't really blame Martin on that goal. It was really a fluke bounce. I mean, if there was one thing that I could say about that goal is maybe he shouldn't be playing that far back, but still, they were going to go ahead and do some kind of shot off the pads or some kind of redirect or something. So like I've always said, you make your own breaks, and they kind of made their own break there. They took the puck to the net, and good things happened. Seems like the Sharks really started to feel, I don't know if they felt as if Fleury wasn't going to get, was going to be a brick wall, and so they had to feel like they needed to pass and make the perfect shot on net. But they just kind of lost that will to shoot. And really, I mean, when this team starts to falter, we see this kind of play where they stop up on the half board, stop up at the blue line, and try and make a quick pass to try and get that goalie to go side to side, but they make poor passes, or they don't get it on net quick enough, or whatever the other myriad of reasons are for that day, and in the end, it's just tiring to see the same old inconsistencies we see creep in their play all over again.
Totally agree. It's like a tale of two halves, but a tale of I don't know, just this team is bipolar, but it has been for a long time. I mean, I don't know if where this comes from, if we want to go back to the whole idea of culture, but it's this team's always been kind of bipolar, and you just hope that they get manic at the right time, and this wasn't it. So LA takes advantage, gets a little bit further away, but it's only December 1st. Let's not wheels haven't fallen off yet, but somebody did have a really good article today that actually pointed out the Sharks' record right now, that they've beaten the crappy teams in the West and they've steamrolled the East, but when it comes to contenders in the West, aside from LA, they really haven't beaten anybody. Anybody of note. I mean, lost to Nashville. Granted, Anaheim is not the team that we expected them to be, but split with them so far, and we got them coming up. It's I don't even know at this point. I just felt like the team I don't know if they weren't communicating or what was going on, but they did look a bit lost. But as I said before, Pittsburgh just had a great game tonight.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I think that onslaught in the first really woke Pittsburgh up, and they kind of figured that they couldn't be playing like that. I don't know what Mike Johnson said in the intermission, but it sure as hell did something to them, and they sparked their play. I liked Hurdle's game. I liked Wingel's game. I thought those two both played pretty well, although there were some lackadaisical plays even by them, and I just felt like the whole team effort tonight just the effort physically was there, but the effort mentally wasn't there. Again, and we've kind of always preached on this, when they miss passes or they give high giveaways and high turnovers, it's because they're not making the simple play on net. They're trying to be too fancy, and they're just mentally not in the game. Because for this team, their fallback mentally is to pass. They're a pass-first team, and when they're not mentally engaged, they forget to shoot. They just do it. I mean, even Burns. Go ahead, Eric.
I was going to say, jumping right on with that. Come on, guys. I mean, passing. You're overpassing on the power play. You're getting back into your usual habits. I don't know what you guys were doing your last 2 days off, because for crying out loud, shoot the frickin' puck. You're down by 3 goals. You have your goalie pulled because you get a penalty coming up, and you're still giving 5-6 passes, and you get a shot blocked, and then the penalty gets called. Give me a break. Or even too many men in the third period. I mean, that's ridiculous to have.
Yeah, and it wasn't by one man. It was by 2. So
right.
They had 7 men on the ice.
5. Well, in that case, with the officiating tonight, I mean, you might as well try to even it up tonight. My God.
So let's
frickin' ass break.
Let's kind of go into the officiating a little bit, because.
Oh, hold on. It's funny that they're wearing the Heritage jerseys. We're wearing throwback jerseys. You know what? We just all should have went straight up like 1994, and every time they had the puck, just been shoot.
Maybe they're.
We should go yell shoot, because my God, they forgot what to do when they get a goal. You shoot! Fuck. Holy crap! It's okay, guys. It's okay to shoot the puck.
That's why they're wearing the throwback jerseys, though, because they remember the 11-71 season.
Right. Like, I mean, for example, you had 59 and 8 out there. I thought it was like Larry DePalma passing it to John Morris, passing it to Yaroslav Tevral, because they weren't.
That's good knowledge right there.
You're welcome. Thank you. I mean, it was serious, for crying out loud. You're doing crap. I mean, come on. Mike Brown was reminding me of Dave Snuggerud tonight, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Does it hurt to have all those names up your ass?
It just is just a nice reminder of how this team sucked the first 2 years at the Cow Palace, and just to have the memories. I'm glad they're bringing back, such throwback night. I mean, they were getting this throwback thing down to beyond fleek. I mean, for crying out loud.
No, that's
Dude, never use that term
throwback.
again.
Yeah,
Never do
no.
Sharks are good.
We're trying to be
Psych!
hip. Oh, that's
No.
right. I should have used psych instead.
Don't ever do that
Shoot
again.
the puck, psych!
I'm surprised you didn't.
This team makes me go crazy.
Surprised he didn't use not.
We've got Luke Benkowski asking, why do they play Brown over Goldobin? That's a great question, and I have no answers for you. I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why maybe he's got incriminating photos of Doug Wilson or Pete DeBoer or something, but really he is just not strong on
the
that.
secret world of Joe Thornton.
Yeah.
What fucking world does he live in? I'm gonna do my typical fucking spinorama bullshit pass.
Hey,
Sorry,
know what?
AJ, go back to you.
You got to. No, I mean, I got to give a little bit of credit where it's due, and you know what? Brown, up until tonight, the previous couple of games that he's had, he hasn't been horrible. He hasn't been the guy that we keep lamenting about. He's not the next John Scott. I mean, the guy has brought it on occasion. Granted, it's hard to bring anything when you don't have a lot of tools in the toolbox and you're only getting 5.5 a night. But tonight was a crappy game for him. But I'll be I gotta say he's up until tonight. The previous couple of games that he had, he was looking better, but.
Speed, though, that's the thing. He's got great speed that he can use as a harness. Unfortunately, he can't play the puck to save his life.
I think the brain and the hands don't catch up with the feet. I think he's kind of suffering a little bit from the Nieto syndrome as well.
Well, you could throw Nieto, you could throw in Braun, you can throw in Wingles into that mix because the bottom six looked like crap tonight. I mean, you feel for Tierney and Hurdle, who have such potential and talent, and they're stuck on these lines where his support staff isn't helping them to save their lives.
I didn't think the third line played all that bad. I think, if anything, the third line was probably the second best line out there tonight.
To me, it was the first line, man. Thornton looked completely disinterested tonight.
Yeah, Thornton looked disinterested. Marlowe didn't look, interested until maybe the second period when he figured he had to skate some. I didn't think Ward looked all that great tonight, and really, Hurdle was the only one really mixing it up out there. I mean, Mueller looked bad. Let's talk about the defense a little bit. Paul Martin had a brain fart against Evgeny Malkin.
The entire defense looked. I mean, you've got Burns throwing himself all over the ice, Martin having some brain farts. Braun and Vlasic, I barely even heard their names tonight. So, I mean, like we said, everybody was kind of MIA tonight. The Penguins just up and they just outplayed them. And that is going to happen from time to time, but you have to, you want to talk about throwback. We can go back to like that late 90s, 2000 team with Nolan and Danfus and Friesen and Ricci and Sundstrom and Scott Thornton and those guys, and they might be down 4-1 on the scoreboard, but they were out there and they were pounding. And now, granted, Daryl Sutter, that was a different NHL, and Sutter was a grind guy, but it was a case of if they were going to lose that game, they were going to make sure that the opposing team felt it on the bus back to the hotel, back to the plane, wherever. They were going to feel that. And tonight, I don't think the Penguins felt anything. There was just no resolve.
And that's the thing, too, is when's the last time outside of a Burns body check has there been like a huge hit on an opponent that made them feel some pain? I mean,
Kyle McLaren?
Yikes. And we're talking back
Brad Stewart.
I mean, freaking.
No, we said a Shark throwing a hit, not taking a huge hit.
Well, I remember the hit on Landeskog. That was
a good one.
That was the last big
okay,
hit.
That was good.
Yeah, but good. What's funny is that I just want to point out who's currently a free agent and who was in town recently was Douglas Murray. So,
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
We're getting to that point, though. I mean,
No, we're not. We're not getting anywhere to that point.
Hey, man,
Jesus
Mirko
Christ.
Mueller looked like a great player tonight compared to Crankshaft.
Do we need to bring back Scott Hannon?
No.
Oh my God! You know, Jamie Baker was in the building. Let's give him a fucking jersey.
Wow, fuck it.
Yeah,
Bring
Brett
back
Hedican.
Nabokov.
You know, Brett Hedican's on the staff too.
You know what? Bring back Nabokov. Bring back Ricci. Just bring them all fucking back. Let's have this be a fucking throwback night. Because with the way that they fucking played, they needed some fucking gusto.
and
Back to you guys.
and generation with the the first swing of the night. He says, of course, Thornton looked interested. The pregame ceremony wasn't about him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, Thornton has looked off his game for the last 3 or 4 games, and I'm not sure what it is, but he just looks lethargic. I'm not. Maybe there's still something going on with that hit that he took. What was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, something like that. We were just mentioning it just
Yeah,
now.
I was wondering when he took that hit because ever since then he's been kind of off.
Yeah, and I think he's probably been playing with a concussion, and the team doctors, they'll just let him play. He's from that era where, boy, you take some aspirin and you sniff some smelly salts and go back out on the ice, and so I think Thornton, there's something going on there with him, and I think it's probably a conky if I had to put it on,
What are his stats lately? Because I'm pretty sure he's been putting up some donuts for assists, let alone points.
Yeah, I think he's been his pregame meals. I think is turkey leftovers, man. But
the tryptophan,
Chris,
that makes sense.
Yeah, but Chris JWS pointing out that the problem with this team is not a lack of hitting, which nobody I think said it was. It's just a case of you do have to do something to get up there. Nobody's looking for headhunting and to be throwing the body for 60 minutes, but at least if a big hit is there, at least take it. Maybe fire up the team a little bit better than a fight. You're not going to lose a guy. But he did say that the last guy to throw a hit was probably Rafi Torres, but of course we meant legal hits.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
I think what we're looking for, just to kind of put a bow on this, I think what we're looking for is impact plays. Impact, whether it be scoring, impact, whether it be hitting, impact, whether it be a big save. And right now, we're just getting little incremental pieces here and there. We're not getting that big impact play. Not that play that pushes everybody forward. We saw that a little bit against the Flames with Hurdle getting a goal and Wingles getting a goal and really kickstarting that team that looked lethargic behind that line, and it was just a continuation today. And the only reason why they got away with it last game was because it was the Flames.
My thinking is the old Reggie Dunlop speech, and here's something that DeBoer should think about for Friday in Anaheim. Shoot the puck on net. Let them know you're there. Body check them a little bit. Let them know you're there. Maybe get into their face and actually give a damn. Let them know you're there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they just kept passing up good opportunities to put it on net. Instead, they dicked around in the slot, trying to get that perfect pass to that perfect play. And guess what? The Penguins snuffed out all that shit. They know their book of tricks. They just played them a week and a half ago. I mean, come on.
Last 5 games, Thornton has over the last 5 games, Thornton has uno assisto. So, as Randy likes to say, icing, that's never good. And Don Holio on the Google chat saying, we need a leader that can call players out. Well, I don't know what Pavelski was saying in the locker room during the intermissions. I don't know if he was saying anything. I don't know. But it did feel like just everybody look, show me the guy who gets it right every day 100% of the time. You're going to have a team that does have off nights. But they did not have a whole lot of resolve through that game. It kind of felt like after the first 2 goals went in that I think most of us would agree on were kind of fluky goals. Once those went in, it just seemed like the team kind of put up the white flag and said, well, okay, it's another home game where we can't do shit on the power play. We can't do shit on the penalty kill, and even the 5-on-5 is lacking. So we're just gonna, we're gonna mail it in for the rest of the game. Who knows if Pavelski, the coaching staff, whoever is trying to hold them accountable for that, but it's a case of the team, to me, kind of folded tonight, but we keep on we need to preface this with Pittsburgh was a really good team tonight. They took advantage of every opportunity they were given.
Yeah, no, what also pisses me off, though, is that they show a side view of the bench in the third period, and you see those guys grab ass and laughing, having a good time, and it's like, come on, do you even look at the fucking scoreboard? I mean, it's just, it's like it's a disconnect, a total disconnect from what's on the ice and what these guys are thinking.
It's kind of the when, I hate to bring up another hockey reference, but when Emilio Estevez talks to his team after they get owned by one of the best teams in their Pee Wee League, it's like, what, you think losing's funny?
Well, not at first, but once you get the hang of it.
Well, they've gotten the hang of it all right. I mean, but you made some great points there, AJ. They just look like they quit, and, well, if they're going to look like they quit, well, they're going to remind themselves of the reverse sweep that they went through, and I guess that didn't bother them because they played like crap the season before that. Didn't care.
Yeah, no, if anything, that team should have that fucking video blasting on their TV, prevent them from watching any other game, and just say, hey, look, you know what? If you guys are going to be grab-assing like that, here, take a dose of what you guys have been doing the last 2.5 years, and let's see if that's fun.
Well, Chris, JWS on the Google chat saying tensing up and getting super serious doesn't make you play better. And I would agree with that because, we've heard the terminology forever about gripping the stick too tight. You do have to play somewhat loose, but you have to be engaged. And they just didn't seem engaged for the most part tonight.
No, I almost thought that the first period was like, okay, it was off to a good start. They're only down by 1. And, and they were putting up the shots, they were putting up the effort, and then after that, like once they started the second, it just fucking fell apart.
Yeah.
They just seemed to like, okay, well, we can't get one past Fleury. All right, well, fuck it. And then you think that, okay, now we're down by fucking 3. You think, all right, we're gonna fucking get one back, and they do. And then after that, the Penguins just like, fuck you, and they took over. And Evgeny Malkin leading the way tonight with 4 points, or I think so. Yeah, no, it was 3 points. It was 3, sorry. But I'm looking at that, and I'm like, what is going on with this team where they're, like, sitting there and just like, oh, we're just going to let Malkin go straight in and get the easiest wraparound I have ever witnessed in my life.
Oh, yeah, that was the brain fart by Paul Martin. Just real quick, Gentry, I just want to go ahead and introduce Rocket Backhander. She was kind enough to join us tonight. Rocket, what's your first kind of impression about the game, and then we'll head straight back over to Gentry.
Hi, guys. First and foremost, I would like to say that I had front row seats to this game.
How could you not?
Right? What can I say? My impression, since this is after dark, and I did think about this on the drive home, I did. I'm gonna say it was like just like a half chub. It wasn't flaccid. And it wasn't a raging boner. It was a half chub effort, and that's not good for anybody. It just makes things awkward and uncomfortable. You don't get anything done that way. That was.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rocket Backhander for you with
After
a
dark.
great.
After that, I never want to hear jack shit about some of the stuff I say. Okay, so just back the fuck up.
All right, Gentry, go ahead. Where were you at with we were talking about Evgeny Malkin?
Well, I think it's just like the whole team just kind of let that goal happen, and then Paul Martin was interfering with Martin Jones, and you just kind of see it like. And once that goal was scored, I looked at the team, and they just like were like, oh well, it's gonna be one of those nights. Might as well just.
And that's the thing is you can't let that happen. You can't let one thing just keep you down for the rest of the night. You look, if I an example of that, look up to up 880, and you see a Warrior team that struggled to play with Utah last night, and they were determined to reverse that. And yeah, they were down 3 goals, but come on, guys, get your head out of your butts and make things go. And speaking of leadership that call it out, they passed on a guy that would have done that a few years ago. I believe his name was Dan Boyle. He should have been the captain, but they decided, no, we want a guy that sounds like Garth from Wayne's World to be the captain. So if you're gonna spew into this, man.
All right. We can go into who should have been captain all day.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
That
Dude, we
opinion is
can't-
fully supported by yours truly.
Can't go a
wonder why.
fucking game without Gentry invoking the mighty Boyle. Jesus
All right, so
Christ.
we got a question here from Slushy Jake, and he asked. It's actually a pretty good comparison. Do you guys think Tommy Wingles is turning into Steve Bernier?
Mm.
And a hush fell over the
Bring in
crowd.
the first place.
What? We're talking like kind of bust. After he's kind of busted his prospect label.
You mean the way Nieto's turned into Torrey Mitchell?
Yep.
Yeah.
Or pretty much all the prospects lately.
Yeah. So Slushy, I think you can kind of guess where we're at on this one. I think we're all kind of in the mode where you need to do something for me now, not what you did for me yesterday.
Well, we're talking about flaccid and half chub. Someone is clearly in the mood on tonight's show.
And then we got another one from @thatsharksfan. He asks, when Couture comes back, will the Sharks send down Donskoy? He's kind of been a ghost lately. What do you guys think?
Nope.
I wish they'd send Brown down and just push Donskoy down to the fourth line.
Yep.
Why not?
Agreed. I think Donskoy needs to move down.
We've been talking about that for a while, that Donskoy eventually, he's got to find the chemistry, whatever it is. I don't know what I'm for a guy that we were so up on at the beginning of the season, especially training camp, the early games.
Yeah.
And just the fact that it's like he just has not been able to put it together. Maybe it is a case he needs to spend a weekend or so with the Barracuda. I don't know, but even if that's the case, who the hell's taking his place? I mean, are we talking about
you know
when
what?
Couture
That
comes
reminds
back?
me of
Did I
when-
sound like I was done?
Yes,
Oh,
the
God.
question was when Couture was.
Well,
comes
if you
back.
keep talking, it's just going to be another Pucknology featuring AJ and then other people.
I think he means
Yes.
means AJ After Dark featuring others.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Well, I just wanted to look what sending Turney down to the Barracuda or to the Worcester Sharks last year. I mean, that did something for him because then he came back and he was performing like gangbusters. Maybe Donskoy needs to find that, get more playing minutes.
Tierney had the best name.
Yeah, no, Tierney has not been playing well. I think he needs to go back down. And I love the kid. He's got all the talent in the world and he's got all the smarts in the world. But right now he's just in such a funk that he needs.
Well,
to get
you know
some-
what? It's
Dude,
like
how-
the fourth line with
Yeah,
those guys. What
Dude,
else are you gonna
how
do?
great are you gonna be when you got Brown anchoring your ass down?
Exactly.
And then the fossil that they just signed. I mean, it's not like they're giving them a lot to work with. And we've said this before about previous guys on the fourth line who have had talent, whether it was Desjardins or somebody else. When you throw out anchors like Desjardins, oh, he looks like shit. Oh yeah, who did he play with tonight? Oh, Brown and Scott. Oh, maybe that's the reason why. I mean, when he's surrounded with some talent, you saw what he could do last year. When you give him some talent to work with, I think Tierney can be a pretty decent center. One of the questions on the Google chat is should Gaudreau be in the lineup over Brown or Haley?
Yes. Yes.
Well, potentially.
Fuck
Yeah.
yes.
But
You
we're
can't-
talking about a player who was playing on the fourth line in the AHL. Not the first line on the AHL. He's playing on the fourth line currently in the AHL.
Well, and then
Bring him up.
I mean, we continually come back to this, and we talk about the development system in San Jose.
Cue Puck guys Sumner rant in 3, 2, 1.
But I mean,
Dum.
Go ahead, Lonnie, I'm sorry.
the guy was a pretty good scorer in junior, and mind you, that does not translate all the time, and that does not account for anything. But that does tell me that he does have some skill, and that means that he's not being utilized correctly in San Jose Barracuda. And so you got to wonder, well, where the fuck is Doug Wilson? I mean, he just
He's in his tanning bed. Damn it, leave him alone.
No, he was there this evening.
Yeah. So I mean,
babysitting Marla's kids.
They put a tanning bed in his suite.
Yeah, when they turn all the lights off, you can see this weird bluish glow from the very top of the building. That's Doug's tanning bed.
I just, you know what? He's spending way too much time in his tanning bed and not enough time evaluating this development system, and not only that, but micromanaging. You know what? He needs to kind of micromanage now if he wants to save his job.
Bro, from Phil Kearney giving us the lighter side, the silver lining, if you will.
Oh boy.
History says the Sharks will beat the Pens at the tank the next 17 times they come to town.
Well, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong if this was on there, because I got this from Puckgal herself. It was 12 in a row that Pittsburgh lost in San Jose.
They hadn't won since 1997, so that sounds about right.
Oh, wow.
Dude, they haven't won there since the Sharks were wearing the Heritage jerseys. Yes, these freaking jerseys, dude.
Oh, dear God.
Curse of the Heritage jersey.
All right, so I
Burn
kind of
them.
want to go over the hurdle no goal, and I kind of want to know what your guys' take on that. And
It was the right call.
It was the right call.
It's a good call. I would have done it. I don't know that it was a good call for goalie interference. For me, it was the hand pass. I thought it was like a hand pass. You can't allow that. If you would have allowed that, can you imagine all the guys that are gonna like take a shot? They're gonna smack it around. No, I know it wasn't a hand pass. It was goalie interference, but the
Incidental contact.
yeah, you're gonna get that. But when you give the officials the option to look at it, and then they see Wingle smack it like that, they're gonna go, yeah, they're gonna call it either way. It didn't even matter if they looked at Fleury and went that way, but there was still not gonna be a goal, and that's fine. You know, shit happens.
And you know what? That should have been said over the PA about why it wasn't a goal, because it wasn't until they said that San Jose was challenging it. And you have to think about, okay, why are they challenging it? And, it's either offsides or goaltender interference. And I'm like, well, if it was offsides, they would have blown the whistle. So I guess they're calling it goaltender interference. And I'm like, okay. Come on, guys. This is why you have the mics over the PA system. Explain it all so that way, the 16-625, supposedly, won't be like, what are they reviewing it for? Because, of course, we don't get a replay review on the Jumbotron.
Yeah, and that was something that the ex-Sharks beat writer David Pollock was talking about. He was asking, well, why is San Jose so reluctant to show any kind of replay? Why are they so late on the bus for calling out what's being replayed, what's being challenged, and all of this? And a lot
of teams do that, though. A lot of teams don't show that.
He was saying that the Sharks are on the very conservative end, and that most teams kind of fall in the middle, where they'll kind of show the overall play. They won't show you zoomed in things, but they'll kind of give you an idea of what's going on, whereas the Sharks are just totally putting everybody in the dark.
Well, maybe they're worried people are going to start throwing shit on the ice or whatever, but let's get to...
We're a melodramatic fan base.
Yeah, let's get to the some of the tweets and chat comments from Mike Lee. I think this might be the first time we've seen him in here, and thank you for coming out. If you're not aware, he is involved with a site, letsgosharks.com. So by all means, check out that website. He is quoting me in that silly-ass commercial. It's hard to describe until you've been there. And he says, well, I was there, and I would describe it as a steaming turd.
I can't even say it was steaming. I would say it was sort of lukewarm turd.
Yeah, and then, of course, Mike's saying, well, it's hard to get anything on the ice when nobody's there to throw anything, which absolutely I get that. And on the Twitter machine, Chester Chivo, our buddy on Twitter, says, even if that goal is allowed, does it make any difference in the final score? Yeah, it doesn't, and that was what it is. It was a case of, we go back to what we were talking about. It's a case of this team was pretty flat from the get-go. They let in 2 fluky goals before that whole interference thing happened, and by that time they had already put up the white flag. So I don't even think. Yeah.
I don't think they put up the white flag by the time the interference call came around. I think that if it hadn't gotten called for interference, the momentum would have changed in the Sharks' favor. I think that they just put the kibosh in any sort of I don't know.
Yeah, but
I agree. Absolutely.
I'm looking at that, and I'm putting myself into the. I'm flipping the situation. If that would have been the Penguins and they would have given it a goal, I would have called it bullshit. So.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why they blew it down. What I couldn't understand, though, is why they let it go to review at all. It should have been called a hand pass. Should have been said, okay, you can't review it, and then that's it. Instead, they said, okay, we'll call this goal. We'll call the play reviewable. So in my mind now, that says that the goal is good. And now it needs to be reviewed, or not good, but it's reviewable, and it could be potentially good.
Okay, you know how we've discussed that, or many people have said, oh, I can't hear the new goal song, and there's a lot of people that have said, like, when they're in the lower bowl, like from the glass to 16th, 20th row, they can hear okay, and then the people in the further parts of the row can't hear, and then people in the upper deck, like, from like maybe the 20th row up they can hear, but the rest of the people in the lower deck, they can't hear anything. Generation X saying they did announce, the referees did announce it, but the speakers weren't on.
Wow. Oh, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, because for some reason they can't find the goddamn volume in that fucking place. I don't know what it is.
So okay, we got Slushy Jake asking us a question, and thank you, Slushy Jake.
What a shocker!
But he asked, well, he brings it to the attention that the Wings are still using Rock and Roll Part 2? I thought everybody got rid of that.
Well,
do they still use it?
That's a big disappointment if they are.
So
they go through a rotation too.
Okay, it could be one of those rotating.
Dude, it's Detroit. They have economic problems. They might not be able to afford a new song.
Would it be wrong if
they need to save?
Started chanting "The Kids Said No"?
Oh, wouldn't that be? Oh, ouch.
Especially if Chicago was in town.
You know?
Yeah.
Do you guys think the goal song gets changed again? What do you guys? Where are you guys on this?
For the Sharks?
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if they try something new next season. But I think what they're going to come to find is it's just going to be the same case. People, no matter what you choose, people are going to bitch about it if it's not Rock and Roll Part 2. They could have chosen anything. They could have went Buffalo and went full on fucking 900 number and then they could have went that way.
Let Me Clear My Throat by DJ Cool.
It's the same thing. 900 number, but it's the same fucking track. They could have went that way, and still there would have been fans that went no. I mean, you're never going to appease an entire fan base when it's been ingrained in them for 24 fucking years that this is the song. There was nothing that. Now, for me, I'm ready to like say just like fuck it. I'm gonna put together like 3 or 4 videos that are so like out of left field. I already have one particular song that we'll discuss offline. But you guys are gonna fucking love this. But will they?
Oh no!
Will they go with a new song? Unless they can figure out the goddamn mix and turn on the speakers and just, I mean, really, it wouldn't take a whole lot to like set the mix better, get the speakers working, and you'd be able to actually hear the fucking song. But if after 41 home games, people still it's not doing it for them. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't hurt my feelings. I get it. I've been there. Sometimes I'm like going, why can't I hear the fucking song?
They don't have the speakers going in the upper bowl at all.
That's what I'm saying.
It makes no sense as to why. But,
that's what I'm saying. So
you put those on, and everybody it'll make sense to everybody.
Yeah, and
Yeah, make that fucker as loud as the Seahawks.
You know,
right.
if
Well, and I
they
wouldn't be
just listen to
opposed
that
to
song
them just
5
going to
times.
2 Unlimited. Just go back to fucking. Remember how they used to come out to 2 Unlimited? Get ready for this. Just use that as a fucking goal song. I mean, it even has that. Dun, 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 hey, I mean,
Hey.
you know,
Yeah.
it has that in there. Fucking go to that, man. At
I'd
least,
be alright with that.
the Sharks have history with that song. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
If you look on their Wikipedia page for 2 Unlimited, I
Not the
kid you not,
Monthpedia.
it actually says that the Sharks were the first to introduce that, and that's where it caught on its popularity.
Well, that's awesome. Mike Lee from Let'sGoSharks.com saying, dude, they can play the fucking Sound of Music as long as they're outscoring their opponents.
Exactly.
There you go.
I would love to hear yakety sax played every time the Sharks scored, as long as they scored at least 3
No,
goals.
they should be
more
playing
than the other
yakety
team.
sax at the start of every. They should replace the Jaws theme with yakety
With
sax.
yakety sax at the beginning.
No. See, it should be their
That's perfect.
goal against music.
Oh,
Yeah,
Every
no.
American Hero theme song
scores,
has
they play
"Believe
yakety
it or
sax.
not, we scored on the power play."
dude, Mike from Let's Go Sharks throwing it out there. He's like, I am 16 going on 17 years without a cup.
I'm sorry, Mike, but I think you're off by
Yeah, no, dude, he got the
Yeah.
joke over, dude. He got the joke across.
Hey,
Yeah, Mike,
we're
we
still
freaking
not the
love you.
Blues,
Sorry.
so-
Sorry, Rocky, go ahead.
We're still not St. Louis.
Not
Well,
yet.
Let's also discuss.
Technically, we won't ever be.
Let's also discuss the fact that we've gone yet another game without a sellout. So far, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 home games, only 2 sellouts, both coming against Anaheim on Saturday nights.
Yeah, it's because there's Saturday
Oh,
night.
in Chicago.
Well, okay. That was an announced sellout. I was at opening night. That was clearly a sellout versus Anaheim. The second game against Anaheim, I heard from a lot of people that, yeah, that was definitely a sellout. And the point being is because there were about 2,000 Anaheim Ducks fans there to take up the slack. But once again, it's a case of another non-sellout. At this point, can we start a pool that we just like pick the date that we think is going to be the next announced sellout, even though if it's not, like the paid sellout, but the one that's actually announced?
Ooh.
well,
right now?
I'll tell you what. This team isn't going to sell out a game if it's playing this fucking way against.
This is
Play this
December.
way at home.
No, we'll have to. We're gonna have to get that down. I think I might go with then I'm calling it right now. The next sellout is against Detroit on January 7th. That's the next home sellout.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No. You have to pick something else. That was my pick.
All right.
Well,
Oh, God. Okay, so I'm going to go Sunday, the January 24th against LA. That's our next sellout.
Ooh, good choice. That's good value at that pick.
I would probably go with the game against Philadelphia since it's free if you bought the game before it.
Ooh, not
It's
bad,
on a
not
Wednesday
bad.
night, though.
I got
It's
it.
on a
I
Wednesday
got
night.
it. Mike Rathje night.
Yeah, that'll do it. Okay, we do have to go to some of the comments. Chris JWS pointing out 16 going on 17 is why Rock and Roll Part 2 is banned at the tank.
Congratulations. You win the internet.
Wow. Ryan Baer throwing out, will Hasselplattner think about selling the franchise? No fucking way. Why bother? If it's not doing well, it's a fucking write-off for a guy who's, using this as an in, and he's all good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you kind of got to figure out, as I'm saying bye to Gentry here, you kind of got to figure out that at least this thing, he could just say cut his losses and just let him, and have an internal salary cap. I'll give him some sort of credit that he's allowing Dougie to go all the way to $71 million, if not more.
I don't even give a shit at this point. It's just, it's like if you want to be an absentee landlord put the right people in place to take care of the building, and I think at this point we can all agree, looking at 10 years of futility on the blue line, that they can never just get it right. This group cannot. I mean, even Kerr's, other people are starting to like write articles about it and point out how awful this team has been trying to groom defensemen between drafting them, bringing them up through the system, and you build from the net out. And this team, they used to build from the net really well. We were a fucking goalie factory for a while, and that's gone away. And we never had, we've gone back to it before. Where is the defenseman that the Sharks drafted that made it to an All-Star game?
Yeah, no. Where's our Shea Weber? Where's our
Drew Doughty?
Chris
Prongers, Dino Chara. I mean, it's a laundry list.
And you have two of the very decorated defensemen in their heyday with Norris trophies in your organization. One's in Florida, the other one is running the show, and they still can't figure it out. As much as I like to talk about how Sommer can't, get his guys to, actually give a damn when they are developed, why don't we throw some blame also to the scouting staff with Tim Burke and everybody? Because, they're the ones who are like, oh, go get Petrecki, or go get Weezer, for crying out loud. Or worse is you see somebody like Matt Carl, that eventually partially turned into Boyle, but at the same time, he didn't do too much on this team, and yet he's played in a couple Cup finals now.
Yeah. Well, on the chat, Chris JWS saying, things won't get better until they do something about the farm system. Hassle won't matter if they start drafting developing well, which, hello, here. And then and Don Holio saying, even when the Sharks acquire talent on D, they come here and don't do well. Now, I have to say, well, I disagree with that when it comes to Dan Boyle, but he has a point. I mean, talk to me about the other guys that did well here when they were acquired. What, Craig Rivet?
I mean, Burns has done all right. I mean, I wouldn't say.
Yeah.
But we all know Burns is not a defenseman.
You have a large segment of the fan base saying he should be a forward. So figure that one out.
No, he's a forward playing in a defensive position. I think that's cool. I think if we had a couple of defensemen playing in forward positions, that hey, why not?
Anything's better than this in the bottom six at least.
If they're getting...
Well, and the other thing too now is they have to keep him at defenseman because heaven forbid that they have to bring somebody up from the Barracuda. That's gonna. Yeah, exactly.
No.
Because they can't develop anything.
No.
Well, and the guys on the chat. Don Holio saying Burns is not a defenseman. Mike Lee saying he can't play defense. And even if that is the case, okay, fine. Despite the fact that he, won an award at Worlds, okay, whoop-de-doo. Even if that is the case, show me, we've gone through this before just recently against Chicago. Show me a team where you put up the Sharks. If you take Burns out of the equation, and you're talking that your top three defensive people are Vlasic, Martin, and Braun. Show me a team where those three are better than, and I'm talking a team that is in the top 15.
Well, I mean, I think Vlasic is a top pairing defenseman, whether or not
he's a number two.
I disagree. I think that he can carry a pair. So in my mind, that means that he's a number one. And it's interesting because for a lot of teams, their number one guy is their offensive defenseman. For us, it's a defensive defenseman. So that's kind of a bad thing because now you're reliant upon a guy who's not offensively aware. I think Braun is probably a 3-4. I think that's pretty much where I'd put him. I'd say Martin's a 4-5 on most teams. I don't think those three are bad. I think that those bottom pairing and the last defenseman just really drags it down. I just the 4 or the 5, 6, and the 7D spots are not good at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think there isn't a set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Vlasic is one. I would say more so a 2 though, and then everybody else is maybe like a 4, except for Mueller, Tennyson, maybe Dylan is like a 5, 6 at the most. And that's pushing it a little bit now.
Yeah, Dylan shouldn't be slotted higher than a 6th. In my mind, he is a 6th defenseman. He shouldn't be playing a 5th defenseman. He sure as hell shouldn't be in the top 4.
Yeah. Braun is a 5 who can play 4 when needed. It just goes back to the fact that if just a couple, I'm not asking for everyone. I'm just saying just a couple. If just fucking Petrecki and Doherty worked out, and we're able to be good, solid top 3 guys, top 3, 4. I mean, if Petrecki and Doherty just panned out as the 3, 4, could you imagine that? I mean, having Vlasic, having what I guess, or okay, fuck it, Martin and Burns, unless you want to put Burns at the top, Burns at forward, but you've got Martin and Burns, you've got Vlasic. I'm thinking of Vlasic and Petrecki, and then Doherty and Braun. I mean, oh my God, come on!
And now you've seen this gap now in the Sharks development system where they've got all of these kids that are in junior still that can't make any impact right now. They have some good talent in the Sharks right now that kind of been, were maturated a little bit in the farm system, but there's nothing in the farm system right now that is available to come up in a pinch and actually work out.
Well, because they've been raiding the cupboard for so long, it hasn't been plentiful. Like at the beginning of the season, that's the first time in several seasons that everyone has said like we've had somewhat of a backstock of players, and then that just sort of dissipated about 6, 7 games in.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that is the problem, that they've raided the cupboard too often. They made stupid decisions for rentals that didn't work out, and really kind of shot themselves in the foot. So I have no disagreement with that statement, and I think the Sharks have really made their own bed, and they've got to sleep in it now. And that bed is that they're going to have a lack of talent for the next 1 to 2 years at least.
So I have one more thing. I took notes. Yeah, I sat in the front row and took notes at a hockey game. That's how I.
That a girl.
I'm gonna call this the 88 slide swipe. And the 88 slide swipe is Brent Burns' patented move. It's his patented desperation defense move where he slides across the ice and swoops with this stick. It's called the 88 slide swipe. That shit needs to stop, okay? It was cute the first time. It was all right the second time, but he's pulling it out multiple times every game now. That shit needs to stop.
Yeah, no, defenseman should not leave his feet. It's a last ditch, and it should only be brought out maybe once every 2 games.
No, there's no skill in it at all.
Right, the sprawling of it, and that actually led to a penalty last week against Chicago, which, ironically enough, as a side piece here, Sydney did that, tripped a Shark, and no call. What a shock there. Anyways, but yeah, I agree with you, Rocket. You got to stay on your feet. He's got some decent wheels to get back to it. I get what he's trying to do, but however, it's got to stop. And his defensive partner's got to get back and help him out too at the same time, because we're talking about how Burnsy's been pinching, and his defensive partner need to get back. Now he's doing it himself, and trying to spare anything.
Well, Slushy having a nice point on Twitter. Imagine if the Sharks had gotten Jarmelson instead of Niemi.
Oh my God, things would have been so different.
We would have been
you're
talking about the legacy of Ninimaki right now.
I don't know about that, but Hammer and Vlasic, Burns and Martin, Dillon and Braun. Not that Dillon and Braun is any huge upswing, but it's obviously miles better than Tennyson and Stollery or whoever the hell else they want to plug in there. But
Yeah.
I think we've kind of beaten this into the ground enough. It's the system is flawed. The system is broken. They can't draft D until they prove it, until they get somebody that they've drafted, that they bring up through the system, that can be a 1-2, that they've groomed properly. It's good luck, man. It might be another goddamn 25 years, but we're going to be celebrating the 50th anniversary and still lamenting the fact that, like, Sandis Ozelinch was, like, the only guy at this point,
So what do you... Okay, all right. So the issues on defense have been well documented. The issues in the farm system have been well documented. What is the solution? Is it a trade? Is it just biding our time until Jeremy Waugh is ready? Or, I mean, what do you guys think the solution is?
Gut the AHL coaching system and gut the scouts.
Okay. Okay, so we got two system fixes: gutting the scouting and gutting the coaching system, and I think they totally need to do that. What about for the Sharks right now?
Nah, they're fine. Hasn't been enough time for them to really be like, this is what's going on, and we can definitely say that this coaching was part of the reason that there's too much other stuff going on to lay that kind of accountability on the coaching for the Sharks right now. I think they're doing...
No, not coaching for the Sharks. I'm sorry. I should have said as far as acquisitions or trying to bring somebody up out of the kind of crappy system that we have. What do you think we need to do to address personnel?
Who the hell are we bringing up?
We have no cap.
We don't have anybody. I mean, DeMello, Stollery. There's nobody else.
If DeMello was going to make the jump, he would have made it by now. We've been talking about DeMello now for about like the last 18, 20 months. The guy has played like 2 games, if that. So yeah, no, let's
defensive version of Brian Lerg.
Let's just jump off the fucking DeMello train. That ship has sailed.
But that's the whole point, is that there's nobody to call up.
Exactly.
Okay, so that means that now you've got to look at a trade. And how do you pry a defenseman off of somebody, especially when you're up against the cap, and especially the pieces that you have to give up are either not attractive or are in the junior system or are not first-round picks?
They might be attractive by trade deadline, though. You don't know who's going to get banged up and how they're going to get banged up and what they're going to need. So basically, I think that right now all we can do is cross our fingers and hope somebody needs something that we have.
Well, exactly, because you don't have anybody that you can trade off your roster, and you don't have a first-round pick. If you give up your second, a team that's quote-unquote retooling is going to be out the first and the second-round pick going into next year's draft. That's not very good.
Let's be honest, kids. The only way a significant defensive player is coming to San Jose is if you move one of the top 2 guys out. They are going to have to they're going to have to move Marlowe, or they're going to have to move Thornton, or they're going to move both
Pavelski.
of them, whatever it is. I don't see them moving Pavelski, not this season. Doesn't he have another 3 years left at a pretty good price?
3 years at $6 million.
What about Couture?
Couture is under contract.
He just started his new deal, I think, for
he's got
5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got another 3 years at $6 million, the same as Pavelski. So
no, they like living at that 6th spot. They need to, if they're going to move anybody, it's going to be Thornton and or Marlowe. And I could, as shocking as it is to say, I could almost see them moving Thornton rather than Marlowe, because we all kind of have that agreement that Wilson has a big, as Rocket,
chubby.
Yes, a big, as Rocket put it, chubby, to have a lifelong Shark from draft to retirement.
Mr. Shark.
They want one guy that they can, hold on to, whether they decide to put up another retarded banner, or if they decide, okay, let's forego the banner bullshit and do a Ring of Honor like they do at other places. I don't know where the hell they're gonna put it, but anyway, you get together and do some sort of Ring of Honor. Yes, okay, Marlowe's the first person, of course, that you would put up if he is a lifelong Shark. So I could see them getting rid of Thornton if it brings something along the way of help on the goddamn blue line, because think about it now. Now, I don't know a lot about hockey. I'm kind of talking out of my ass. I've also had a lot to drink. But the thing is imagine if you move Thornton, you move Pavelski to the center role on the top line, and you get in that defensive help, and maybe that's when Burns slots into a forward spot. At least you have that option.
You'd have to have two defensemen, though. I mean, you'd have to have the person that's replacing Burns, and you have to have the upgrade on whoever your sixth.
Well, I didn't say Thornton. I didn't say Thornton was the only one that was moving.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm just saying, if you can get some help, if you can get, a top guy for Thornton, and maybe you move another piece, whether it's a Nieto, it's a Ringles, what have you, and you work on getting, a 1-2 guy on defense, and then maybe a 5-6 guy or something, somebody that is an upgrade over Tennyson, over Stollery, over DeMello, hell, over Dylan at this point, because we're all consigned to the fact that Dylan is incredibly overpaid.
Okay, all right. So let me throw these numbers at you. Mike Brown is making $1.2 million, and you got Tommy Wingles making $2.47.
Oh God.
Yeah. So what happens if you drop those two? If you somehow were able to swing a trade with Tommy Wingles being involved at 2.4, and you drop Mike Brown, you've now freed up about $3.6 million. That gets yourself a pretty good 4-5. Maybe 5-6 kind of defenseman. What do you guys think about keeping everybody else intact and maybe packaging a Tommy Wingles and some pick for something?
We don't need a 5-6 defenseman.
No, we have plenty of those.
We need a 1-2 defenseman.
Yeah, exactly. It's overkill.
You're trading a scab knee for a banged elbow, man. You're not helping it at all. If you're not getting that 1-2, which is the solid piece that we've all agreed that we're missing here, and you're gonna go for a 5-6 defenseman, why? Why not just pick up another journeyman from the NHL?
Because at least a competent 5-6 is better than the flavor of the night that keeps getting rolled out. I mean, Mueller looked horrid, and Tennyson is not any better.
No, he's not.
And any of the AHL guys you have outside of Mike Kandari, who we have yet to see, which is
well, then you get the 3-4 guy. You get the 3-4 guy on the Google chat. Mike Lee pointing out that Thornton's value is plummeting by the day, and I would have to agree with that at this point. Chris JWS, Thornton is having his worst face-off year in a decade.
Something in the head. Something in the head's wrong.
Yeah, he looked completely uninterested tonight.
The passing missing crisp. Sorry.
Yeah. He just looks like shit. So it just it comes down to maybe it is time. Like, is it time? And now, granted, we're all kind of like in losing our shit in panic mode because we lost to the Penguins tonight. And, had it been a win, had it been a 4-1 win, we'd all be sitting here. The show would have already been over already, and we'd all be sitting here going, oh my God, everything looks so peachy, and we're still a point behind LA, and good for us, and we're right there, man. It's all good. But they lost a game, and so we're talking about all the pieces that need to be moved. But I think it does come down to maybe it is time to. And especially when we talk about that yesterday being the 10-year anniversary of it, maybe it is time that Thornton moves on. That it was 10 years. We thank you very much. You did some amazing things here. You gave us you gave the Sharks a shit ton of attention when before there was none for the most part, and you put them in the national spotlight, and we thank you very much for that. you let us know what are the 10 teams that you're willing to go to, and we will do our best to get you to a contender as long as they're willing to give us help on the blue line, which we clearly desperately need. And thank you very much. And we hope you retire a Shark because, well, you certainly didn't win a cup with Boston. So hello.
But the thing is, and again, we're thinking this, but at the same time, even yesterday or even today, I think when they were talking to Thornton, he loves it here. He's very glad to be here. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. And he's saying that in the media scrums, the last couple of days, as it's the anniversary of the trade. It's pretty much the same thing Marlowe's saying. So good luck trying to get them.
Of course they love it here. There's no fucking pressure on them.
Okay, so it's kind of devolving a little bit in the chat. Mike and Chris are kind of going at it, and let's put this forward. I think that he hasn't been the same since he had that fall / skate incident, whatever the hell you want to call it. But he hit his head, and I'm saying he's got a concussion, and I'm saying that he was able to skirt whatever protocols they have because he's him, and he's going to go out and play whatever the cost. I think he's got a concussion, or he's done something, because it's just not there right now. And
Certainly wasn't there tonight.
Yeah. Rocket, what do you think?
Man, dude, I don't want to say anything bad about Jumbo, man, because the more I watch him play, the more I actually like him. And I agree with AJ that if we need to part ways with him and send him to a contending team, I'm not going to have any hard feelings about that, because I really think that Joe deserves to win the Cup. If it's not with the Sharks, it's not with the Sharks, but he definitely deserves to win. I don't want to see him go. I would like to see it with the Sharks, but if we need to piece him off in order to get some solid help on the blue line, then so be it. That's the way it rolls. This is a business. I don't think he's playing any worse. I think tonight was a weird game. I think that they made things overly complicated for themselves. Pittsburgh did a really good job of just finding a common denominator in their style of play and just shutting it down the entire time. But
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Generation chimes in. Generation X-Wing says, Jumbo hasn't played the same since it was 3-0.
And that's a great point, because following that, he gets the C stripped from him. The whole controversy behind that came in after March. And like AJ and I were saying last year, where was his face? One of the faces of the franchise on all the promotions for this team coming up, and it was nothing.
Yeah, and I mean let's all put this in perspective, right? I think we're looking at a second place team in the Pacific, mind you, but they're still in second place. They have a point cushion on top of Arizona, of all people.
That's unbelievable.
for
John
third,
Scott, baby, John Scott.
For third place. And so you're also missing arguably your number 1B center, and you're still treading water. And what did I say? I said after the first game, Couture's injury, I said, you know what? If this team can tread water until he gets back, then we're gonna be okay. And not only have we treaded water, but we've thrived, and that's more than what I've asked for. But I think what we're all kind of worried about, and I think that what we're all anxious and these losses bring out in us, is this problem of defense, this problem of it not being of defense not being addressed, of defensive systems not being employed to help bolster the defense, and you're now reliant upon Martin Jones to put in a 30-plus save night in order to get a win.
Right.
And I don't think that's not sustainable.
And I also think that they're banking on, Jones to steal every game, like they were trying to bank on Niemi to do the same. I wish there was a stat out there, and if anybody can pull it up, look at it. But it's almost like if he can stop if he can only let in 2 goals or less, there's a good chance the Sharks can win it. However, once it gets to 3, it just seems like everything falls apart.
Which we saw in previous seasons. That was the magic number. Was 3. Was if the Sharks can score 3, then they win like 90% of their games, and that's all well and good. But guess what? It's not gonna win you a fucking cup with this.
No, and I think we'd be all fooling ourselves if we think that this team could win a cup this year, unless they do something incredible and turn this effort and turn these bad losses into losses that are more acceptable. Because a Stanley Cup final or Stanley Cup contender does not lose a game 5-1. They lose a game 3-2, and they put 40+ shots on net in a loss. This is a team that gave up halfway into it after it was a shitty call. And it was a call that didn't go your way, but you've got to make your own breaks, and you've got to make.
Wait a minute. What was the shitty call?
No, it was shitty in the fact that it was deflating the hurdle non-goal.
Oh, okay.
Not that
it was saying it was a bad call.
No. It was a good
not
call.
Happy about that either. Like he was really chippy for the rest of the game after that hurdle.
And that's good, and I'm glad to see that from him because at
He
least
should have started that in the first second of the first period then. Especially against freaking Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Like I've said before, like that old NHL ad with the coach. You need to bring out 110%, 100% of the time. And we've talked about it for years. And Mike, if you're still watching, we've talked about this on the feeder boards that they need a full 60-minute effort.
Wow, in true throwback form, he is calling it the feeder.
Yeah. I could go even worse and call it the bottom feeder. But that's basically it. This team likes to get away with not playing a full 60 minutes. The losses absolutely show the lack of depth that this team has because the guys that are up here are playing above their expectations. And let's be honest, that's probably taxing these guys that aren't that good by stepping over their boundaries. I just think that it's just you got to get better players, better personnel, guys who want it more. I mean, that's why Nolan is still loved even almost a decade after he's gone. It's why Gentry loves Dan Boyle because this guy is sick and tired of having crap around. Just put up the middle finger and go do it.
That's why there's been several times where the heart of the Sharks, especially since, I don't know, and I hate to say it, but kind of since the arrival of Thornton, a lot of people have lamented the fact that the Sharks, their biggest bust has been like no heart, the desire, how many times have we talked about them not being able to put the foot on the throat of a team, letting them come back when you've got what should be an insurmountable lead. It's been like that for a very long time. We do need to get to a couple things and move on here and wrap it up.
Yep.
Generation X wondering if Eric lives in Oregon because how long does it take to get home from a game? Damn.
We literally, when we came on, I was literally at the garage, and I just parked here in Concord.
There you go. So you know what?
Right.
Question answer.
Damn.
There you go.
Question
Don't
answer.
Don't creep and try and find me.
It takes me 11 minutes to walk from the tank to the San Pedro garage and get my car, and then it takes me 6 minutes to get from the garage to my house.
Yeah, it takes me about
I wish
11.
I could do that.
It takes me about 11 minutes
Oh my
to
God.
Uber my drunk ass home from the tank. Anyway, a couple things. Well, shit. There's just one thing that we definitely need to address that Don Holio brought up. Can we discuss John Scott being 15th overall in the All-Star voting right now?
Oh no!
Yes!
Yeah, he's actually ranked higher than Pavelski right now.
Yes.
Wait, Rocket! Didn't
love
we
this.
talk about this on Tilted and Glasses?
Mm-hmm.
That we should stuff for John Scott.
So
Yeah.
I think the Merrick vs. Wyshynski podcast put it out there to get John Scott on the All-Star team.
Yeah.
Oh, this is one of those. This
Let's
is one of.
do it.
This is. Hey, assholes! People that are voting for John Scott. This is how Sanjaya ended up in like the top 5 on American Idol. Stop with this vote for the worst crap. All right.
No, vote for the worst, because you know what? You're gonna get the best out there in that All-Star game, and they're just gonna poke each other and
You know
smile
what's-
and not
you know-
actually play.
Dude,
And
John
people are gonna be like,
Scott.
I want you to hit him, blah 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 blah, and they're like, ooh, we're too good. No, get the guys that suck that are fun to watch.
You know
Go
what?
for it.
You know what's going to be
Calling it
hilarious
right
though?
now. I'm calling it right now. John Scott will be the first guy to ever be elected to an All-Star game that is benched.
Well, all right. So
Oh.
I mean, who the hell thought it was a good idea to vote this guy up, especially when it's a 3-on-3 tournament?
Hey, he had that nice chipper into the empty net last year. I mean, come on now.
I mean,
That
the
was
guy
skill.
can barely the guy can barely get around. I mean, what the hell is he going to have to do? Hang on to Taylor Hall and kind of water ski around the ring?
The guy.
He's gonna just give him a whip.
Let's be honest with this. The guy through for his one season as a Shark, he is best known for the face he made on an airplane wearing a shirt with his face on it. That's like how he's known.
Or his verses in Holiday Sweater.
Sure. Why not?
Or that he
And-
just gets penalties for being himself.
And maybe that's something that we also need to discuss. How the fuck do the Sharks plan on following up Holiday Sweater? Because that went viral. How are they going to follow that up?
They're not.
I don't know. It's gonna be
Unless
tough.
Tator is probably gonna fuck it up.
Wow. Hey, the year before he made the appearance, I'm the one who signed her checks.
Yeah.
And there would have been, and you know what they should have done? You know, in fact, now I want to do that. I wish there was video of it instead of just audio. But how great would it be to have John Turturro saying, "Hey, I'm the one who signed your checks," and then all of a sudden cut to Christian Bale. Oh, good for you.
God, the guy just. Oh my God. I don't even. I'm not gonna even go there. I'm not gonna.
With
go
that,
there.
I get to email him tomorrow about the tweet up.
There you go. Would you like his email?
I do have it along with his phone number.
Me too.
Oh, no, don't put that up. Take that down. No, God, no. No. We don't need that
And
to
of
happen.
course, and the best part, Don Holio, of course, pointing out that just about every player that was in the Holiday Sweater video is no longer a member of the Shark. I mean,
I
if you
think
think
just
about it, it's like,
Tierney and I think
Goodrow.
Tierney and Nieto.
dude,
And Gudros
Mirko,
and Barracuda.
Marco.
Stalock, Dylan.
Mirko, yeah.
Remember Dylan
Oh,
pulled up the
Dylan-
rear
With the yeah.
where he was just showing it, at the very end. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so we're,
All right.
we're beyond Holiday Sweater. We're beyond John Scott. Okay, so once again, we've had a good time just bashing everything that is Sharks tonight. So moving on, we have a quick away and home this weekend against Anaheim this Friday. We shall see who's going to take the lead in the series. Anaheim still not playing the Anaheim way that we were used to, that we're all kind of expecting this season. And this is something to take into account. We're 6-1 over the last 7. Wow, that was amazing.
Nice.
And then of course we're still, I love the way you can always spin the numbers. It's like, well, they're 2 in what is it? 2 and 6 over their last 8. Well, yeah, they're also 1 and 2 over their last 3. I mean, you can always spin the numbers. But anyway, we are coming into a stretch here, boys and girls. Anaheim sucks. Tampa Bay not setting the world on fire. Calgary and Edmonton, of course, scraping the bottom of the barrel along with Anaheim. And then Minnesota. So we've got 5 games on the schedule before they go on another 5-game roadie. Completely winnable games, and all against lower echelon teams. Is this going to be a case of the Sharks play down to the level of their competition like they've been known to do, or is this going to be a case of the Sharks say, they're ticked off about this? Somebody calls out Thornton. Somebody gets called out. DeBoer
How
maybe
many games
sits
are
somebody.
away? How many are home?
Over the next 5 that are all against lower echelon teams, we're at Anaheim on Friday, home against Tampa on Saturday, then we're at Calgary Tuesday, Edmonton Wednesday. So we've got 2 days off between the little back-to-backs in Alberta. Then we get 2 days off to and then Minnesota, and then we get another 2 days off. So there's a lot of time off. I mean, you're talking, 6 days. What is it? 5 games and 6 days off over the next 11.
I'd say they get 7 to 8 points out of a possible 10.
Well, you're talking. You've got 5 games.
So that's 10.
What's
10
the record?
points.
What's the record when they get back from Minnesota on December 12th? What's their record? You know what? I'm going 4-1. I have high expectations.
Yeah.
3-1-1.
All right, because we still haven't. If you think about it, this is kind of weird that we've already 2 months into the season and we don't have the and 1.
Yeah.
We don't have the OT. We have nothing. We have a donut in the OTL right now.
Yeah, I say 3-1-1.
All right, Don Holio also saying 3-1-1 on the chat. Rocket?
I'll say 3-2.
3-2. All right, Eric. Puck guy.
And he was muted. No, just kidding.
No, I swear to God, I didn't touch the button.
Me neither.
And he's gone.
And he's gone. Laurel on the chat saying 3-2. So apparently I'm Mr. Optimist, which I never do here. So that's the way that it crumbles, I guess, tonight. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in. If you could, by all means, hit the little subscribe button. We really appreciate it. Check us out, whether it's Puck Guy or Ian Reed or Eric Landy, myself, any of the people that contribute. Pucknology.net. Give that a look. Can't believe Eric has not gotten a hint to throw up the graphic yet, but but anyway. Once again,
okay, guys.
There you go. So we have to make sure we put the camera on Eric. But yes, Pucknology After Dark, and once again, you can see all the contributors. If you can jump in on there.
Chivo.
Oh, of course,
just the next
Chivo.
game 0-5 just because.
Yeah, well, and then Slushy Jake, of course, saying 5-0-0 because it worked the last time they went on the road. So absolutely, that was a good call there, bro. So once again, thanks very much for tuning in. We will see you guys after the game on Friday night against Anaheim. And quack quack, ducks suck, Landy.
All right, thanks, AJ. Well, it was a bummer, but we'll move on, and let's hope the Sharks move on too. Thanks for tuning in, and have a good night, everybody.